Foxhole is not a dead game, it just has a dead server. Foxhole has had this issue time and time again where the new update comes out and the game sees a huge increase in its player base. Old players and new all join back for the new content. At the start of an update war, we normally see 5,000 plus players on at any given time, and the game certainly needs more servers to hold all of these players. But after about a week or so, the hype dies down and the game returns to a semi-normal population of around 2,500 to 3,500 players. I think it's always great to finish off wars that have started on other shards instead of closing them down early, but once those first initial update wars are over, the shards should be closed down as well. The shards have fulfilled their initial purpose of supporting higher population of players during the update war. With Siege Camp's recent decision to keep Charlie going, I think they are making a big mistake. This Charlie server will be dead within a week, and I won't be surprised when this war has no conclusion because nothing is being built or made. I love Baker and Charlie servers when the new updates drop. I love that players have a place to be with other new players and to learn the game together. But after that initial update war is over for Baker or Charlie, the servers need to be shut down until the next update war. We all need to remember that extra shards are only open if there is more people than the main shard can handle. It's supposed to be a short-term solution for the technical problem the overall game has with hex populations. Charlie does not need a third war in this situation. Charlie's server needs to be shut down. It's January 17th, 2024. As a reminder, if you're watching this game in the future, please don't think what I'm ranting and complaining about right now is what's happening in the game currently. Do some more research and see where Foxhole is at right now in your future place of time. The worst thing that Siege Camp ever did was name those stupid shards. In the beginning, when we needed more shards, they were simply Shard 1 and Shard 2. By naming these shards Baker and Charlie, Siege Camp created this sort of cult following for each shard and what I like to call Shard Loyalist. You all know how much I hate Faction Loyalist, well I hate Shard Loyalist even more. You literally have players that say they will quit the game if Charlie's server is not up. I get it, people can play how they want, and I understand that. I just don't like it when these Charlie loyalists go around spreading misinformation about Able. Charlie players say that Able players are super sweaty, that vets are always yelling at them, and that they can't play things that aren't meta, and that is just not true. And to you Charlie players that say that Able is not fun, this is literally what happened to me last night on Able.
Robert, come with us.
On a special mission, just hop in the back.
Alright, sounds good.
Let's get up to some low rank shenanigans.
Do I need some guns?
Low rank shenanigans?
Nah. Alright, let's do it.
Did you want me to follow you guys?
Excuse us.
We're just getting in some low rank shenanigans.
You should,
because we're bored.
We're probably not the best for Gunner, but
yeah,
it would be funny if you followed us. Y'all ready?
Here we go.
With the prince? No way! Build by the science guy.
No one yelled at one another, no one got mad. It was a pretty serious front, but some people were just goofing off, and that was alright. I want more video proof of people getting yelled at, honestly. I see comments that players are always getting yelled at by vet players, but I never see this when I'm online. DM me on Discord videos of you getting yelled at by other vet players. I want to see how these scenarios go down in real time. Because after 1,000 hours in this game, I have seen very few vet players yell at new players. I'll admit that I've seen it happen before, but it's only been a few times, and there was one simple trick that I did to fix this issue, and I'm going to share that trick with you today. This one simple trick made it so I never had to hear anything from that vet again. Learning this trick will give you the ability to do whatever you want on the Able server. This simple trick will save you so many headaches with sweaty vet players, and you will be able to hear the other 90% of the player base that is super nice and helpful. Look at this, an Able group that was willing to help me just by typing in chat. Charlie players say that they see themselves having more of an impact on the Charlie server than Able. Well duh, because all you do in Charlie is PvE your tank against AI defenses. You might as well be playing some single player tower defense game. The game is won in small victories and inch by inch. A lot of new players have problems with this because they want to make that huge impact in the game. So of course new players in Charlie feel like they're doing more. If you're a new player doing research on Foxhole and you see anyone talk about Able server being sweaty or toxic or unhelpful, ignore them please. I'll probably say it a few times throughout this video, but I have 1,000 hours on Able and 99% of my interactions with other players has always been positive. I'm honestly surprised that the devs were able to take a look at the current population and decide that they needed to keep Charlie on for another war. You think after turning off over half the hexes on the new map for the Charlie war, they would have rethought this idea. Players can't even participate in naval battles in the naval warfare update on this server. After about a week, there won't be enough players on Charlie and it will simply die out. You might say I'm wrong, but the past has showed us otherwise. Though the devs have never stated this, I was under the impression that they would prefer Foxhole to be one active shard. a single active war that everybody plays in. I know we have a queue issue, but I'm telling you right now that another shard being up does not help with the current queue issue on the main server. A hex limit is 120 players per faction. Most hexes in Able on each faction side is normally sitting around 50 to 60 players during high population times. During low pop times, it's even worse. I know the devs won't do this, but I think the devs really need to be more transparent about how many players are in each hex on both sides. It's kind of like showing a server list in old FPS games where it's like X out of how many players on that server list. You could find battles easier and you would know where you need more people and what hexes you need to reinforce. Is this the dumbest idea for Foxhole, or could this kind of intel work to benefit everybody? The idea that queues are too high due to high population on Able is more misinformation spread by Charlie players. Again, 2 shards can actually make the queues worse. Then we have the same problem on both servers and smaller battles as well. Having multiple shards with low population is really bad for the game and makes the game look bad for new players in my opinion. Because Foxhole is a persistent war and on 24/7, this game is dependent on having an active population. A new player's experience is ruined if no one is on or they can't find a battle that's greater than 10v10. I would say a lot of players don't know where to look for battles. Most of the time, players will look over the intel map and see where the most green and blue dots are, and that's how they decide which battle they want to be at. Then they whine and complain when they're having to sit in 10+ player queues. Instead, they could just go to a medium-sized battle or even start their own frontline in another hex. Very often in high population times, there's still 2 to 3 hexes on the front line to go to start your own frontline battle. And I'm not talking about bridge battles or anything like that. There's still open fields that you can go to and push forward. Logging on and deciding you want to sit in a queue with 10+ players is a choice that you make. You don't have to go to that one front line to have a great time playing Foxhole. There are other fronts that can be fun, or you can make them fun without having to wait in queue. I remember times spawning in front lines where there's only 5 to 6 players that seemed present. I built a bond with those players, we defended or we pushed the front line while other players started to join, and it snowballed into an even bigger battle. Has this happened to anybody else or just me? I think too many times players think that they need to join the biggest battle right away instead of starting off in a medium-sized battle that can grow into a large one. Yes, Charlie is a great tutorial server. I won't argue against that. It's a great place for new players to learn the current game mechanics compared to its very outdated tutorial island. I'm glad that new players can join Charlie in a less stressful environment and learn the ropes with other new players. But keeping Charlie open just to serve that purpose is not the solution. The devs might as well make a tutorial server that has only 3 hexes, 1 for each faction where you can only work on the basics of the game. It would need to be a server where vet players have no interest and would get bored very easily. Otherwise, we know that there's those vet players out there that would join the quote-unquote noob server just to go noob stomping, and no one wants that. It also needs to be a server that once Charlie players have learned enough about the game that they want to advance or upgrade to the Able server. Being on the Able server should be a goal for new players. It should be like joining Grandmaster or Challenger in a ranked game. Pushing new players away from Able, in my opinion, is a bad idea. New players can actually learn how to play the game from vets on Able. If you join a shard without a lot of vets like Charlie, of course you're going to feel off and confused when you're forced to join the Able server. Of course Charlie is going to feel more like home for you. A lot of Charlie players just want the casual experience, and I understand that. And as an Able player, I promise you that you can find that casual experience on Able. I hear a lot of players talk about how they want Charlie just to be 1 lane or 1 hex or something completely different from what Foxhole is. And to me, that is just again not the correct solution. We don't need to split our player base in this already small niche game. You have players acting like they want some kind of ARAM in Foxhole where they get all the guns and vehicles and they just want to do battles without any of the grind. That is just not what Foxhole is. Foxhole is a massive multiplayer persistent war. To demand that it should be something like Squad or Hell Let Loose or something completely different is entirely pointless. I don't foresee there ever being a special game mode for Foxhole that caters to a small specific casual audience. You can't just dumb Foxhole down for a second server. I see it a lot where Charlie players say they're going to quit because they don't want to join Able. I'll get some hate for this, but at the end of the day, if there were 15 Charlie players and 10 of those players said that they would leave the game and only 5 of them would join Able, I would consider that a win for Foxhole. Having 2 low populated servers is just not sustainable for this game. Charlie players, if you're really hesitant, I think you should really try Able. It's not a bunch of sweaty tryhards and full of vets that just want to yell at noobs. It honestly has a lot of cool people that are just as chill as Charlie players. The overall problem with the game is how the population is handled from hex to hex and the information that we are given about how many players are on each faction each war. The game design relies heavily on having a stable player population, especially with the amount of hexes that have been added over several updates. When the game gets low population, it hurts the gameplay experience for everyone. I want the devs to be even more transparent about population and hexes. I don't exactly know what it looks like from a design side, but I think it's needed. This next Charlie War will unfortunately probably go until it ends. A lot of new players will join Charlie Shard and be confused when they go from ghost town to ghost town with no one to see and nothing to do. Separating vet players from new players is not a good solution to make this game more appealing and help queue problems. It's a band-aid for a bigger issue. Low population will damage both servers again here in about a week or two. I would rather us focus on making sure one war is more balanced than trying to focus on 2 wars. From what I can tell from my experience playing Foxhole is that one server really thrives between 2,000 and 2,500 players at any given time. And even lately we have barely been reaching those numbers, which is why I'm so confused in why they're doing another Charlie War. Charlie players, if you do come over to Able, remember that one simple trick I taught you that will help you succeed and have a good time. The super chill and nice people you are meeting on Charlie are also on Able. In my opinion, this game does not have a healthy enough population to run these month-long wars on 2 different servers. Charlie should have shut down after the first Charlie War was over, and the game doesn't work anywhere near as intended when 75% of the hexes are running at low population. It basically becomes tanks versus AI tower defense game. The gameplay becomes very tedious and super boring. Charlie or Baker or any other shard will always be a temporary server for new players to get used to the game during an update war. It shouldn't be anything more. Better to end it on a high note than drag it out until no players finish the war at all. I will say it again that the devs should not have given the shards names. They are just the overflow shards and they should be named and treated as such. You can talk about how relaxed and chill Charlie is all you want, but at the end of the day, the extra server hurts the game more than it helps it. I trust the devs have checked their player numbers and have talked about why this is a good idea. I still personally feel like it's a bad idea because the population from what I can see on Steam numbers is nowhere near high enough to support 2 shards, even if you do make the map smaller. Charlie needs to be shut down. Sorry if I made any Charlie players upset. Thanks for listening to my rant. Let me know your thoughts on why Charlie's server should stay up or why it should go down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching and thanks for your support. Make sure to subscribe for more Foxhole content. Remember, mute players that you don't like. Cheers.